Welcome to the Do Life and a Body You Love podcast. I'm Nikki O'Day, and we are going to talk about any and every topic that will get you showing up bigger and bolder in your life. Weight loss, relationships, mindset, it's all on the table. It may not come out real PC, but if you're sick of motivational rah-rah talks that don't lead to any real change in your life, then you're in the right place. Let's jump into today's episode. Hello, my beautiful Do Life and a Body You Love chicks. Today, I am going to give you 7 different ways that you can start to reframe your thinking so that you can have literally anything you want in life. Bold claim, right? Little girl is making bold claims today. I swear to you that by changing your thinking, you can bring pretty much anything that you want into fruition. Now, I'm not saying if you're 5 feet tall, you're going to go grow a foot and become a basketball player. Not like that, okay? But the realm of what is possible for you in your life is so much more abundant than what you think it is. I promise you. And every time that I've made a big change in my life, I've realized, oh my gosh, I thought this was impossible at one point in my life. And now I see that it's just the beginning of what I could even have, what I could even bring into my reality. But here's the deal. Anything that you want, big or small, okay? You can't get there with your current way of thinking. Our way of thinking is how we got to be in this current reality that we live in, okay? It is not our circumstances. Circumstances give you different hurdles to overcome, but they can't dictate your results, okay? Let me say that again. Your circumstances, the things going on in your environment that you cannot control, they give you obstacles that you have to problem solve. That's what those are. Those are problems that you have to problem solve. Every single human has some. Now, some are dealt a worse hand than others. Not denying that, right? But this is why we can have people who come out of different situations and have completely different results, okay? No matter what their social economic status was, their genetics were, what was handed to them and what wasn't. At the end of the day, people make the most out of what they're dealt or they don't, right? And so if we want to change our weight, our health, our relationships, our finances, our business, anything that we want to change, it's going to require you to think differently. And here's where we get stuck. We get stuck because we think that we will think differently once we achieve the result, right? But we can't have the result until we change our behavior. So here's how it actually goes. Result. Okay. How do you get there? By acting differently. How do you change your actions though? Oh, well, you actually have to change the way you feel. Okay. Because even if we are logical people who make logic-based decisions, some of us are more emotion-based, some of us are more logic-based. Even those of us who think of ourselves as logic-based humans and we like data and numbers and figures, you still actually behave according to your emotions, okay? You are emotion driven no matter what. Okay, so then how do we change our emotions? By changing our thinking. So it all starts in our mind. And so that's the catch 22. Like, I want these results, but I have to think differently to get there in order to behave differently. Well, how do I change my thinking? That's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to give you 7 steps to doing this, okay? But let me give you some examples really quick of this like circular thinking that keeps us stuck. So a lot of times people tell me that they'll start going to the gym once they're in better shape. And I understand that. It's this thing about like fear of walking in there and being judged and not knowing how to use the equipment and thinking everybody else is in shape in the gym, right? We think when we don't go to the gym that you walk in there and everybody is like ripped, jacked, like it's a bunch of supermodels in there. First of all, it ain't. And even if it were, the gym is the place you go to get in shape. You don't get in shape and then go to the gym. If you're already in shape, you don't need the gym. The gym isn't where you go to maintain your fitness. It is, but it's also the place that you go to attain fitness, right? And so we keep ourselves stuck. I want the thing, but I won't even take the action because I think I need the thing first. Or once I save enough money, I'll start my business. Okay, well, if the point of your business is to make money, then what? No, find a way to start the business before you've made the money. and then use your business to go make money. And I'm sure you can think of some examples in your life if you pause this really fast and you think on it, where it was like, oh yeah, I was literally stopping myself from doing the things that would give me the results that I wanted, right? We all do it. I've done it. Like, none of this is said in judgment. This is all actually said in personal experience. But here's the deal. Whatever the thing is that you want, okay, picture whatever it is. If it's weight loss, if it's finances, like whatever it is, to get that result, you have to become a different person. You don't become a different person once you've had the result. You become a different person now, and that brings that woman into fruition. So future you, 1 year from now, future you is 50 pounds less, or future you is running an established business, or future you has a better relationship with her husband, or whatever the thing is. You have to start behaving in a way that will bring her into reality. She don't just show up in your world. You don't like think about losing the weight and it happens. You don't think about running the business and it happens. You have to start acting like that person would act before you're really her. And that's weird, right? But if we continue to act within our current thought patterns, who we are right now, we are our thoughts, right? And so our results are a complete reaction of our thoughts. Okay, not our circumstances. We got to own our own results. Okay, ownership here. So if I'm owning my results and I'm looking around at my life, the life that I'm leading is a result of my thoughts. My thoughts, the way that they are right now, cannot carry me to a new level of success. They cannot. So how do we change our thinking? Well, most of us act from a place of fear, scarcity, distrust in ourselves, a lack of confidence. And so we play small. We don't take steps, right? People who have the things that we want, people who change their life in dramatic ways, they act out of faith and abundance instead of scarcity, and trust in themselves that maybe you don't have the answers, right? But that along the way, along the path, you will learn what you need to learn. The Lord will provide if he's calling you into a different direction, right? He's going to provide. So you take action, right? So this is why diets don't work. Diets tell people how to eat. You go eat in this way and you will lose this weight. But we didn't change any of our thinking. We didn't change how we view ourselves. You're not going to outperform who you think you are. Who you identify as is all of your results, right? So if you think that your body has like some certain set point for weight, or that genetically you can't do it, or that you don't have enough willpower, or whatever, you just haven't changed your identity. You don't feel worthy of the goal. That's a big one, even for weight. Okay. More so when I'm working with people in business, but even weight, people don't feel worthy to have the goal or to put the time into it or the investment. Okay. So if any of that is still muddling around in our brains, and usually it is because we've been living a certain way for decades, right? You go on a diet for a few months, you lose some weight, but nothing changed up here. You put the weight back on. People win the lottery and they go broke. How does somebody who lived below the poverty line in the United States, so we're talking, I don't know, what is it, like 30K a year, and they win millions of dollars, and 2 years later they're broke, and you're like, how did you possibly spend all that money? You're always going to fall back to the identity and the thoughts that you have. You can't get around this stuff. It's inevitable. You got to do the thought work. Okay. So before we even get into those 7 steps, what you have to do first is decide what do you want? What's the thing you want to work on? Because you can't change everything all at once. Like when people are like, I'm going to work on this area, and this area of life. It's like, okay, well, good luck. That's a whole lot of thought work to work on all at one time. And I don't want to discourage anybody from making huge, bold moves in life. But what's the main thing for you right now that if you got a handle on this one thing, it would have a ripple effect to make these other areas of life easier, or it would give you more confidence, more boldness, because this is where we need to come. We need to come to this place where we're acting in bold, determination, right? Though that's what we're trying to get to. So if there's an area of life that it is just going to speak life into other areas, start there. But decide, what is the thing that you want? What is it going to take to bring it into fruition? And now you change your decision-making process. You don't want to make decisions based on an area of disbelief. If you don't believe you can have the result, you're not going to act in a way that would bring about the result, right? So who's going to go out and do things if they think it's impossible? Nobody. Like, that would be crazy, right? And so this is like, we want something really bad. So like we start and then we stop and then we start and then we stop. Anytime there's a bump in the road where a determined person who has belief in their ability to make it happen, or in God's ability to make it happen, or wherever you're pulling that faith from, that person is going to hit a hiccup and they're going to problem solve. They're going to recognize it for what it is. It's a bump in the road. Every single successful person has multiple bumps in the road. Like, success is just failing over and over and over and over. Every successful person fails repeatedly. People who are not successful fail and then they stop. That's it. That's the difference. So you have to be okay failing and problem solve. And if you don't believe in your abilities to get this done, you're going to have a really hard time doing that, because you're going to hit that bump in the road and you're going to view it as evidence that you were right. You can't do it. You know, it's like you go on a diet and you're doing really great for 3 days and then you eat a cookie. Logically, what do? Go, okay, tomorrow I won't eat a cookie. That one cookie, if you put that in perspective of like the whole like year's worth of health that you're about to embark on, did that cookie do anything? Literally nothing. But if we eat the cookie and we go, I knew it. I knew I couldn't do this. I love food too much. I'm a failure. I fail every time I try. And boom, we're just back off the horse. Well, now that cookie really did affect you and stop you from getting to your goals. But it wasn't because of the calories or the carbs in the cookie. It's because of what it did to you mentally, right? So we can't be operating from a place of disbelief. We got to just believe. Like, decide that you're bringing this thing into fruition and that you will find a way to make it happen, no matter how many times that you fail, right? Or scarcity. So if we're always worried about what we may lose or what this is going to cost us, then we are never going to experience the reward. Like, with everything, there's risk and reward. But if you make your decisions based on abundance, like an abundant mindset, meaning, here's what I mean by that. So if you believe that all things are possible for you, if you're a faith-based person, that God can do anything, like whatever, you just have this abundant mindset that like, hey, if this is what I'm supposed to be doing, it's going to work out. I'm going to find a way. That is going to cause you to take actions in the right direction. But if you're worried about what you're going to miss out on, or what you're going to lose, or how much is this investment going to cost me, or what if I fail, right? Then we don't act boldly and change our life. We stay stuck because of that scarcity. Fear is totally normal, by the way. So like, your brain wants to keep you safe. You guys hear me talk about this all the time. Your brain wants to keep you safe. Your brain does not care about you living your best life. Your brain's not like, what can we do today that might put ourselves into a very uncomfortable situation, but the reward's going to be so worth it. Whatever behaviors you've done before that didn't lead to death, which to this point is everything, unless you're a ghost watching me, that's what your brain wants you to do. Whatever you've repeatedly done over and over and over, no matter what the result was, if it resulted in you staying alive, then your brain views that as safe. This is why we stay in abusive relationships. This is why we stay in jobs that we hate. I personally watched a bunch of people who I love dearly stay in jobs through COVID that they absolutely hated. They loathed being there. And here's the kicker. They could actually make 3 times more money if they walked away. And they stayed in a situation that they hated, where they were making less money. There was literally no upside. The only upside was that there was familiarity. You guys, why can't I talk today? It was a familiar situation. You know the word I'm trying to say. Okay. So we like to stay with what's familiar. Okay. All of us do. Change is scary because we don't know what's out there. We don't know how it's going to go. So if we're talking about changing jobs, it's like, well, what are their policies and procedures at this other hospital? I'll use nursing as a for instance, because that's the most recent job that I had. So when I went to another hospital and took a different assignment, I don't know their policies. I don't know who these doctors are that are even writing orders. So if I have a question, I got to figure out who this person is. I got to go do like everything just like takes more steps, right? I don't know who's nice. I don't know who's mean. I don't know who's a good resource person and who's an idiot that just talks really well and is going to lead me astray. Like there's so many unknowns, right? And we make all of those unknowns into these giant boogeymen that keep us stuck. And usually they're not nearly as scary as we're making them out to be, right? To me, not taking bold actions and giving yourself a shot, that's scarier, right? Staying stuck in situations that we don't like out of fear, that's scarier to me. And by the way, if you're listening to this and you're like, I've done the exact things that she's talking about, know that I also have. So I'm not talking trash here. We all do it, okay? But I'm just bringing light to it so that we can all start to like question, why am I making the decisions that I'm making? So people think conversely that being brave is a lack of fear. No, it is not. Being brave is not a lack of fear. Being brave is acting even though we're afraid. That's what bravery is. It's if you're not afraid to do something, what is so brave about doing it? Like everybody, when COVID first hit, for example, thought I was so brave because I wanted to go work with the COVID patients. It literally wasn't bravery. I just wasn't worried about it. Like I was worried about what it was doing, to people, but I wasn't afraid to work with those patients. So it wasn't bravery. For the nurse who was terrified of COVID, she was brave. She was brave. I wasn't. Like people were like, you're so brave. And I was like, I'm literally not. Like, okay. An absence of fear isn't bravery. Walking and taking action while you're afraid. So to my faith-based chicks, let me get a little preachy here for a minute. Yes, 1 minute I may be quoting Bible verses to you guys, and the next minute I might be cussing. It's a confusing place to be in conversation with me. But okay, back to the point. Fear is mentioned like aggressively in the Bible. Aggressively, like so many verses about fear. Why? It's like God knew he designed our brains for safety, and those brains were going to try to keep us stuck, right? So is it acting in faith if you're not afraid to do it? No. Acting in faith is like, I'm afraid to go do this thing, but I have this trust without evidence. So when we have evidence that we have failed in the past, makes it even harder to make changes, right? So if you've been trying to lose weight for 4 decades, and every time that you've tried, you have failed, which, by the way, jump on one of my events where I explain to you why you failed. It ain't you. You're not a failure. Diets are failures. Okay. But nonetheless, you have been trying this forever and ever and ever. And you either lose a little bit of weight and then it comes right back, or you can't stick with it and you don't lose weight. And by the way, it's not a you problem. It's a methods problem. But your evidence is that you can't do it. That's all that you know. So to act again, that's bravery. You're probably afraid of failing, right? But you try again anyways, because what is the alternative? The alternative is acceptance, accepting things that we don't want, accepting being in a position that we don't want to be in. No, like just go take these bold, brave actions and know that it gets easier. So there's that. Okay, so everybody's afraid sometimes. Even people who seem very bold, they're afraid all the time. But you act, right? Now, fear is sometimes healthy. It keeps us from doing stupid things that get us killed. So don't always ignore your fear, okay? And don't ignore your instincts. That's different. Intuition is one thing. Your brain trying to keep you stuck is another. And sometimes it's hard to start to differentiate it, but you can once you start tuning into it. So who is this future you? Who has these results that you want? What types of decisions does she make? Because I bet you they're more bold decisions, because she has the luxury of seeing the outcome. So she knows that it's possible because she's living it. So the you in 1 year, the you in 5 years, the you in 10 years, whoever she is, she has no problem acting in a way that keeps those results because she already has the evidence. She's living in the future, but you got to act bold and brave to get to her, to make her be real. So you start to think, what would my future self do? What would she decide to do? in all these little like areas that might pop up throughout the day. Here you are at the elevator and there's a bank of stairs and you're like, oh, I really want to take the elevator. Okay, what would future self do? Okay, she'd probably take the stairs. I can do it this one time, right? And so it's just always acting in alignment with your highest self, not who you are right now. You act like who you are right now, you're going to stay who you are right now. You got to act in accordance with your highest self, the girl who has the goals that you want. Okay, so we can finally get to the 7 things. So number 1, deciding on your result, but not how you're going to get there. Okay. So yes, you need to plan, and yes, you need to strategize, and yes, you need to take action. But the most important thing is that you're committed to getting to the goal, and the how can unfold and it can change. That's really the only way that you're going to get there, because things don't go how you think that they're going to go, right? And you have to be able to pivot. There's sort of 2 heads of a coin here. Okay. So on one hand, we need to have grit and determination and perseverance to get to where we want to go in life, right? But then there's this other side of the coin where you just beating up a dead end road, that's not getting you anywhere either, right? So you can have all the grit and perseverance all the live long day, but if your action plan sucks, you're not getting where you want to go. So I'll keep going back to weight loss because that's my jam, right? So losing weight via eating like a rabbit and doing a ton of cardio literally doesn't work. We've all been doing it for decades. You go right ahead and keep doing it. You can have all the grit and determination that you want. I have some chicks who come into my program who they're badasses. Like, they have so much more willpower and self-control than I ever thought of having, but they're just doing the wrong things. And so they get no results. And by the time we sit and, start to work together, I'm like, girl, how are you alive on this little bit of food that you're eating? This is like horrible, right? And they're decreasing their metabolism. They're doing this and that and the other. So here's what my point is. You got to pivot when you need to pivot. Okay. So decide, I'm getting here. I'm getting to this goal. I'm getting to this weight loss goal. I'm getting to this business goal, whatever it is, but be open that the methods might not be exactly right the first go round. You're going to have to pivot and change. You're going to have to fail over and over and over and be okay with that. And that is eventually going to get you to your result. Okay. Number 2 is trusting your instincts. So this is really difficult because we're going to have fear. And a lot of us use that to say that that's our instinct, right? Well, I really want to do this, but it just doesn't feel right. We say, maybe that feeling is an instinct and you need to trust it. Maybe that feeling is your brain trying to keep you stuck. So then you have to assess what's really going on here. But if you get an instinct and it's solid, or you get told by God and you didn't just like make it up. It wasn't like, oh, well, I saw a blue jay today and that represents this to me. And so that's God telling me that. Like, don't start just like trying to tie together things that you want to do. And then, but like, if you are like clear, like this is an instinct, or this is directly from the Lord, or whatever, take action no matter who is poo-pooing it. Okay. And if your instincts aren't real buttoned up yet, you're not really sure where to go, sometimes seeking expert counsel is smart. Okay. But careful whose advice you listen to. So look around and at the people who you're getting advice from. Do they live in a way that's congruent with where you're trying to go? And if the answer is no, you don't take their advice. You can listen to them and be nice. And all the while, you just let that fall right out of your head. So if you have a friend who's struggling with weight, this like blows my mind. I see this happen all the time. I see women who are actively in the process of losing weight. I like to be a fly on the wall, and I just listen to conversations like when I was working and stuff like that. So here's a chick who's like actively losing weight. Maybe I agree with her methods. Maybe I don't agree with her methods, but she's getting results. And I will watch women who are not getting any results badger this woman about how she's doing it wrong. And then that person will actually take their advice and stop doing what they're doing. Wait a minute. What you were doing was working, and you're going to listen to people who don't even have the result that you want. What's going on here? This is like taking stock market advice from your broke uncle at a Christmas party. What's happening? No, I'm not trying to be a judgy jerk, but here's the deal. If somebody hasn't come up from your situation to where you want to be, you don't heed their advice. And people mean well, right? Some people are giving us advice that will keep us stuck because they love us so much. They're fearful for us to fail. Okay. But the people around you don't want to see you fail. They love you. So sometimes, like your husband, your parents, whomever, they're going to give you shitty advice. They're going to, because they have their own mindset issues and scarcity issues. And you have to know when to heed that advice and when to say, I love that you love me enough to have these concerns, but I'm going to go do this anyways. Like, and I see women get stuck constantly from the input of their friends, the input of their spouse. Okay. And it's not even that their friends or their spouse are mean people. That's not it at all. They're trying to protect you. I'll give you some, for instances. Well, actually, I'm going to tie two together. I'm going to tie number one and number two together in a personal story real fast. Okay. So I had decided many, many moons ago that I was going to have a business that supported me outside of my job. This was like a decade ago, by the way, and it literally just came to fruition last year. So talk about a long road of failing, okay? But I decided, number one, what the result was. The result was I was going to be able to support myself without a job. Okay. I didn't know what that was going to look like. That started off with me in network marketing. Started with a skincare company that went under, and then I went to a nutrition company, and then I ended up sucking at it, essentially. Okay. Like a little bit of success, enough to keep me going, but it was like not growing to the place where I needed it to replace my income. Okay. So then I take out $7,000 that, by the way, we're paycheck to paycheck people at this time. Okay. Like every dollar is spent. And somehow I scrounge up $7,000. I don't even remember how I did it. And my husband was like, you've lost your mind. Like, he's very supportive of me doing business and stuff, but he's like, what are you talking about? Like, we don't have that kind of money. And I'm all like, that's your scarcity, boo. I'm doing it. I don't ask permission. I ask forgiveness. Bye. And so I'm not saying that's the best approach either. Okay. But so I go do that. I invest with this woman who didn't deliver anything she was supposed to deliver to me. Okay. So spent $7,000. Didn't learn what I was supposed to learn from her, but did learn, by the way, she was a network marketing business coach. That's what she did. What I learned through her program was I no longer wanted to do network marketing. So it had the exact opposite effect that it was supposed to have, essentially. But what a blessing, because that got me to open my own business. So now I leave network marketing and I open my own business. And to any outsider looking in, including like my husband, that was a $7,000 waste of time. And to me, it was the best $7,000 I ever spent, because I would have never probably made the leap to being my own independent business owner had I not made that shitty investment. So, okay, now here we are into lesson number two. I opened my own business and I sucked at it for a year. You guys, I'm not kidding you. I made like $400 for the year. I was like, this is worse than network marketing. What am I doing here? I need a business coach. And lo and behold, like magic, another business coach just pops up into my life right when I'm like getting ready to throw in the towel. And I'm like, I need somebody. But I'm so jaded because I already hired somebody and she sucked. But I'm like, nope, this is it. I'm trusting my instincts. This feels right. This woman looks like she has the steps that I need. Okay. Here we go, another $6,000. This time I'm going to borrow it against my retirement. To which my husband now, bless his heart, is like, okay, but like, you spent $7,000 like 2 years ago with a coach, and that didn't get you anywhere. And he's not even trying to be mean. This is not a bash my husband podcast, I swear. This is logical, right? You already did that. But the way that my brain thinks, I was like, okay, so because I tried something one time and it didn't work, I should stop trying. I hired a coach, didn't deliver what she was supposed to. So now I should never hire another coach, even though I know there are coaches who can help me. I just got to find the right one. To me, that type of thinking makes zero sense. But that's what happens, right? We get stuck in the previous experiences that show us that it's not possible. Or then we go to the people around us who do love us and want to protect us, and we can let their negative thoughts keep us back. If you're going to be a woman who gets shit done, who makes things happen, who gets the results that she wants to get, you have to decide, and then the actions are on you. Trust your instincts, take expert counsel where warranted, and you got to block out all the rest of the noise. You can't let anybody else stop you, because everybody else around you has a broken mindset too. Listen, we all do. If we didn't have mindset junk, we'd all be skinny, rich, happily married, like perfect life, right? Any area of life where it's not going so great, there's probably a mindset issue there. So we all have them. I still have them, right? You can't let, while you're trying to fix your own mind, you can't let like the negative mindset and thought beliefs of those around you stop your results, stop your progress, or else you're going to stay stuck. Instead of that, be the person in your circle who overcomes it. Okay, if your whole entire family is overweight, be the person who breaks that cycle. If your entire family, social network, everything else are all broke and living paycheck to paycheck, be the person that breaks that cycle, that shows everybody around you what's possible, instead of letting what's around you normalize results. Does that one hit home? Does that one make sense? I hope that it does. Okay, number 3, stop overthinking. Oh, this one is for me. I'm saying this one for myself, ladies. Overthinking kills progress. You can tell yourself that you're just analyzing the facts all you want to. And I'm not saying make rash decisions. I don't make rash decisions. I'm a very analytical type of person. I'm reading reviews about everything. I can be a crazy person and nerd out. But the problem with that is it then keeps you stuck. So these are your lifelong learners and not doers. I can't tell you how many people I've watched in both the health arena and the business arena who they want it so bad, and they just learn and they learn and they learn and they never take action. And knowledge without action gets you literally nothing. That's what it gets you. So stop overthinking, just act. Number 4 is like one of my favorites. This is changing your what if story. So when you find yourself trying to make a decision and you're like, yeah, but what if, and you rattle off all the bad things, right? What if I start this diet and I fail again? What if I buy that gym membership and I don't go? What if I start a business and I lose all of my money? Like, flip those around. When you find yourself doing that, because there's a good and a bad for every possible scenario, right? That's coming from scarcity. That's coming from fear. That's coming from like a lack of belief. Flip that to an abundant mindset. Okay, what if I start this diet and I actually take the weight off this time? How's that going to feel? How's that going to change your life? Changes your life, by the way. I don't care what anybody says. The things that women text me after they start taking weight off, it's not even about a number on the scale. It's about what it does to your mind, how you feel in your body, changes literally everything else. What if you invest at the gym and you don't go? Okay, well, like, what if you do go? And what if you show yourself that you can show up in a crazy environment that you're not comfortable in and do the damn thing, right? What if you do go and you start to see a little bit of an outline of muscle on your arm and you like love putting on tank tops now, even though you used to hate tank tops because you had your Hello Marthas dangling, your lunch lady arms, whatever you guys want to call them, right? What if you start a business and you succeed instead of failing? First of all, like starting a business like what I started, it doesn't even take that much. I mean, yeah, I'm like shelling out money on coaches. Thank God I did, right? Oh, if I wouldn't have taken that step, my life wouldn't be what it is right now. I can't, like, I could have an anxiety attack thinking about not hiring the people that I hired. That's scarier to me because I really love that I'm full-time in my business now. So like, what if you do take a chance and you spend 10 grand to open a business and it affords you to quit your job and like completely design your own life in your own schedule. And like, yeah, okay, what if? That's pretty cool, right? So change your what if story. Catch yourself. Yeah, that bad what if, that could happen. It could, but this could also happen, right? Which brings me to number 5, which is sort of tied to it. But if you're like really stuck, like you just can't decide and you're not sure if you're afraid or not, but like the decision seems like daunting, you can do what's called fear setting. I didn't make this up. This is like an old Stoic philosophy principle. Tim Ferriss and all those like high performing guys talk about it all the time. That's where I got it. And I love it. And I already kind of did this and I just didn't know there was a name for it. Worst case scenario, it like a lot of times when we start doing personal development, we think that we should only have happy, positive, abundant thoughts. And it's like, well, a lot of times by not going down that fear road, like by not letting ourselves go down that road, we're making things into like a bigger scenario than what they really even are. So worst case scenario, okay, I go on a diet and I fail. What's the worst thing that happens? It's just like every other time I tried to diet. It's like not even that bad. Maybe I had to buy some food that I end up throwing away. How many of us do that anyways? Right? Or I invested some money with a health coach. By the way, if you want one, holler at your girl. You invest money with a health coach and you don't get the results. Okay, you've spent money on dumber things. I promise you. I can't even talk about how much money I used to spend at the bar when I was young. Oh my gosh. If I just poured that into my health or my business or the money that I spend going out to eat or just like whatever, we all spend money on stupid stuff, right? The money is never the issue. The money is never the issue. And when you start to fear set, you'll start to realize this too. It's like, okay, so what if I am out X amount of dollars? Is that make or breaking my whole life? No, it's not about the money. When people tell me they don't have the money to do something, on occasion, that's true. And I've been in situations personally where it's like, I don't have 2 dimes to rub together. I literally don't have the funds. But what is usually true is if you want the money to do something, especially that you value, you find it. If you're not finding it, it's because you don't believe that you can get the results, right? So you fear set. Is it really about the money? Is it about the fear of failing? If you quit your job and you take a new one, okay, let's put it like this. If you're working a job that you hate and you take a new job and it pays you more money and you're not sure if you're going to like it because the only way to know is to go there. What if you do hate it? Well, now you're in a job that you also hate. You already hate your current job. Now you're in a job that you also hate, but you're getting paid more. Well, okay. What's wrong with that? Like worst case scenario, is it really going to be, are you going to die? If the answer is maybe, then you probably should not say yes to this decision. Okay. But if the answer is no, you're going to live and you can have some sort of contingency. It's not going to totally derail your entire life. Most decisions aren't. I mean, those ones where you're contemplating something that would totally screw your whole life up, you're usually not even considering them for that long. The things that you're deeply considering doing are usually pretty reasonable things, right? And it's like, well, if this terrible thing happens, then what? How would I turn that around? How would I get myself out of that? And you can normally problem solve it right from there. And then the decision's so much easier when you're facing all of the possible scenarios. But if you're only facing a couple of the scenarios, you don't have the whole picture, you might be making a mountain out of a molehill, so to speak. So that's why you fear set. Okay. Number 6, keep in mind whenever you're making decisions that there is no right or wrong way. There is no right. There is no wrong. There are multiple ways to skin a cat. Okay. You want to build a business, multiple ways to do it. You want to lose weight, multiple ways to do it. A lot of wrong ways too, but nonetheless, there's a lot of right ways to do things and a lot of wrong ways to do things. And the only way you're going to know is to jump in and do it. And then you alter your plan, right? So we put it in our minds when we're trying to make a big decision about something, or like we have to find the best way before we can act. We have to find the best way. I got to do this the best way. I got to have the best workout plan. So then we go back into that planning trap when we're worried that there's a right way and a wrong way or a best way. We just plan and plan and plan and plan and plan and never do anything. I got to find the best workout. No, that's not a thing. There is no best workout. I got to find the best meal plan. Not a thing. There isn't a best meal plan. I got to find the best way, the best first few steps to take to build a business. That's not a thing either. There's multiple ways to do it. Find somebody who's done what you want to do. Go ask them what they did. It's that simple. It's a way to stop overthinking when we let go of this notion that there's some perfect way to operate. There's no perfect way to operate. And then number 7, I've sort of been hammering this entire time, but it's making every single decision from abundance. What you do not have access to, you will find. The knowledge that you have a deficit in right now, you will discover. If there is a hurdle that you can't humanly think your way through, God will provide it if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And if not, you'll find a lot of roadblocks and then you'll divert, right? But there's a way to get to where you want to go. Look around, find some evidence for it. Are there people in your situation who've done it? If you want to lose weight and you tell me that you're too busy, hit me up. I'll give you example after example after example after example of chicks who are equally busy and they got it done, right? You want to start a business and you're broke. Hello? Was as broke as they get? There's all kinds of people who went from broke to having their own business. Like, whatever the situation is that you find yourself in, look around for evidence. Don't look for the evidence that it's hard or that it's not possible. Don't listen to the people around you who tell you all the terrible things that are going to happen when you set off on X, Y, and Z adventure. Change your surroundings. Get around some people who can show you positive outlooks to this and ways of operating, in different ways of thinking, and keep yourself in that place of abundance. You can start your day every day with visualizing the end of the goal happening, right? Having gratitude for what you already have. It's really hard to feel abundant if we're constantly stressed and focused on what we don't have. So gratitude, boom, changes that immediately. Those are some ways that you can get into that abundant mindset. So I know this one was like, pretty heavy about the mindset stuff, but I would love to hear how this is sitting with you. Like, the one of the things on the list, can you look at that and go, yes, I could actually do that. If you implement any of these on any of your decision-making, I would love to hear about it. This stuff lights me up because it's pertinent to like any area of life that we want to change, right? Women can change anything they want in their life with these principles. So holler at me and let me know. What'd you think of this one? If you implement any of these, I for sure want to hear about it. And I will catch you on next week's episode. Thanks for tuning in. It is my mission to give women back the confidence that they need to show up bigger in their lives. Right now, the world more than ever needs women who are on fire and living their purpose. If you want to join me in this mission, there's a few things you can do. 1, you can share this podcast with the women in your circle. 2, you can join me in my Facebook group, Simplified Fat Loss, or you can subscribe to my newsletter at nikkiode.com.